Alright guys, welcome back to our Walking Dead All-Out War campaign. We are still playing through the Safety Behind Bars expansion, and today we are going to be on Chapter 2, and this is Unwanted Guests. Now we are back at the prison here. Today's mission says, expecting to find the prison abandoned, Rick's group are surprised to find a group of prisoners holed up in the canteen. This scenario looks at what might have happened if their frayed tempers had spilled into violence a little sooner. So, if you watched the first video, we did not use the interior of the prison. This time we're going to. So we're going to do a quick spin around right here. If you want to jump straight into the action, hit up the timestamps down below in the description and you can do that. If not, stick around and we're going to check out the survivors and the board that we're going to use. Alright, so for this game, on the outside of the prison, we have Rick and Tyrese. And again, it is the camp leader version of Rick. He's going to have Rick's hatchet, and the pro football player Tyrese, and Tyrese is going to be unarmed at the start of the game. They have to try and fight their way into the prison, so they have to go through the yard. There are 12 walkers in the yard. They can get into the prison either by going through the watchtower or through the open doors there behind the large walker up the steps. Alright, so looking inside of the prison, we're going to start out with Dexter and his group of prisoners. So we have Dexter, Thomas, Axel, and Andrew. And this room that they're inside of right here is going to be the canteen or cafeteria of the prison. And the doors to all of the rooms, except for the armory, which is across this hallway right here, where all of the supply tokens are at, and the prison cells are going to start open. So the prisoners can just walk right through them. Now to get into the armory, they're going to have to perform a smash action to get through that door. And that door is going to have a white defense value. And then over here, inside the prison, we have Alan and Lori. And they start outside of the prison cells. The cell doors, you just have to use an action to open them up. All the other doors are going to be open areas. There are lots and lots of supply tokens scattered throughout this board. And we're going to say, for gameplay purposes, going through this hallway, there's no doorway right here, but we're going to pretend that there is. You can go through this and into this room, or through the entrance to the watchtower and into this hallway. So this hallway right here is going to be a main hub. Here you can see the yard, lots and lots of walkers scattered out there. Again, 12 walkers out there. We'll talk about how we're going to spawn walkers inside the building when we come to that portion of it. Now to win this scenario, you have to take out 3 members of the opposing team. So we have to kill either 3 prisoners, or the prisoners have to kill 3 of our survivors. We're going to start on turn 1. The threat on this game is going to begin at 4. We're going to start with Rick and get him to use his leader ability, which is stay calm, and he's going to reduce the threat by a blue die. Alright, so Rick reduces the threat by 2, and that brings it down to 2. And for his second action, he's going to make a run. So now we move over here to Tyrese. Tyrese is going to make a run action and get right up there next to Rick and pull in the closest walker to him. Alright, so now we're going over here to Lori and Alan, who are inside of the prison itself, and they are outside of these 2 closed off cells. So Lori's going to use her first action to open up this cell door. And what happens when you're inside of the building, anytime you enter a room, which he is essentially doing here by entering into this cell, you have to roll a red die and spawn that many walkers inside of that room, preferably in touch with any supply tokens that may be inside of there. Alright, so Lori with her first action has opened the cell door, and we spawned 1 walker inside of there. And now for her second action, she is going to exit that room and move over here into this hallway area. That's going to bring us back over to Alan. And for Alan, we're not going to worry about that supply token. We're just going to walk over here to meet up with Lori and get through that doorway. And I didn't mention it during the intro when we were covering characters, but Lori has a tire iron and Alan has a baseball bat. Alright, so now over here to the prisoners. We're going to start out by having Dexter make a 4-inch move to get through this door, and we're going to see what spawns on the other side in the hallway. Alright, so we get no walkers spawning out here in this hallway, which is going to be great for the prisoners as they try and smash this door open. So now we're going to take Axel and get him to make a run move out and come in contact with that door and then try to smash his way into it. So now for the smash action, remember that door has a defense value of white, so we'll roll a white die to see how strong that door is. And then Axel has a melee value of white, so he's going to be fighting against that to see if he can outroll the door. So this will be the defense of the door, and then this is going to stay in play for the remainder of the game. Alright, so the door has a toughness of 1, so we just need to roll more than a 1 in order to make our way into it. So here's Axel trying to get into that door. Alright, so that's going to be a failed attempt by Axel to punch his way into the door. So typically a smash action will cause noise. There are no walkers inside of the prison other than the one that was in that cell, and he just shimmied over a little bit towards the noise. But the walkers outside, we're going to say they're not attracted to the noise that's going on inside of the building because the walls are that thick. So now we'll go over to Andrew and Thomas. We'll start out with Andrew. And so Andrew is just going to make a full 8-inch run out of the door, past Dexter, and be waiting in that hallway. And we'll move over to Thomas, and he's going to pretty much do the same. Just make an 8-inch move action to get out that door. And here you can see we have all of the prisoners still bundled up nicely together, waiting to get a hold of some survivors. All right, and that's going to be all of the actions for these survivors in turn 1. So we're going to check some kill zones and see if anyone is going to have extra walkers to fight in combat. All right, so all the walkers are outside of any kill zones. We will go into our first event card, which will be, there's a storm coming. So +1 to the threat leaves us at all quiet, and it says nothing happens yet. All right, so we kind of dodged a bullet there with the event card, and we didn't have anything happen because of that. We'll go into melee combat and up the threat by 1, and we are back to 4. And we're going to start out with Rick against 1 walker. All right, so Rick in combat is going to roll a white dice as his melee, another white because of his hatchet, against 1 purple for the walker's defense. All right, so Rick has knocked that walker back an inch and prone, and then we'll go over to Tyrese, also against 1 walker. All right, so for Tyrese in combat, he has 2 white dice as his base attack. He is unarmed, and he'll be rolling against 1 walker's purple die. All right, so Tyrese has just tied combat, so we just move that walker back an inch. All right, and the last thing we want to do before we end turn 1 is to roll for the prone walker. So on a badge, that walker will stay down, and on a blank, they are going to stand back up. All right, so at the top of turn 2, we have up to threat 1 from the end of our last turn. We are now at 5, and we want to get Rick and Tyrese inside that prison. So we're going to take Rick and start things off by, again, using the stay calm and lowering the threat by a blue die. This time we shall reduce the threat by. All right, so Rick has reduced the threat by 2 again. We are back down to 3, and for his second action, he's going to make an 8-inch run move to try and get over here closer to this watchtower. So Rick makes an 8-inch run and gets right over here in front of the watchtower and draws in that walker there. So Tyrese also makes an 8-inch run to get over there near the watchtower and pulls in the closest walker to him as well. All right, this time we're going to come back over here to the prisoners, and we're going to start out with Axel, and he's going to try to get into that door again. All right, so remember that door has a defense value of 1, so we're going to need to roll a 2. All right, so Axel fails to get inside of that door again, so what we're going to do is have him move out of the way, and then we're going to need Dexter to come over, and for Dexter's 2 actions, first one's going to be to move in front of the door, second one's going to be to make a smash action to try and get inside. There we go, a little bit of jumbling around of the figures, and now Dexter is going to try to kick the door in himself. Alright, and so for Dexter, his melee is a red and a white. So we have better odds here of rolling a 2 to get into this room. All right, so Dexter is able to kick that door open and show the group why he's in charge. So now we're going to go into this room and start looting these supplies that have been locked in there. Now the rule says for the armory, we are not going to spawn any walkers inside of here because it was a safe room. So Axel has already taken his 2 actions. Dexter has made his 2 actions. Let's get Andrew in there and see what he can find. So Andrew makes his 8-inch run action in. He's going to use his 2nd action to search. And another rule about the armory, we're not just picking any regular old supply cards, we are actually drawing any equipment cards that come with safety behind bars that are not yet in play. And just to give you an idea of what's inside of here, there's riot gear, there are meds, riot helmets, batons. There's a pump action shotgun inside of here that someone could pull out. So let's shuffle these around and pick one out and see what we get. All right, so Andrew has collected his supply token for his 2nd action, and he is going to come up with a police vest. So we'll go ahead and equip this on him, and that is Andrew's 2 actions. So now we're going to come over to Thomas and have him also run into the room and pick up a supply counter as well. And Thomas is going to pick up a first aid kit. All right, so we put the first aid kit in Thomas's pack, and that is all of the actions for our prisoners. There's still one more supply counter inside of there that we'll get Dexter to pick up next go round. But for now, let's move over to Alan and Lori and see what they're going to do this turn. So to start out, we're going to get Lori to just move here forward a little bit and then search this supply counter. All right, and when you're inside of buildings and searching supply counters, the armory was its own separate rule, so ignore it over there. Other supply counters inside of buildings, we're gonna roll a blue die and then draw that many supply cards. So Lori is going to draw, and Lori is going to find an old gun and a fire extinguisher. All right, and Lori is going to equip the old gun and then put the fire extinguisher in her pack, because why not carry around a fire extinguisher with you? Okay, and Alan is going to go around the doorway there and enter the room with the stairs to hopefully pick up that supply counter, but we'll have to spawn the walker inside to see if any show up. So Alan's in the room, now we roll for the walker. Oh, so Alan enters this room here and we spawn 2 walkers inside of it. So we put one in contact with the supply counter coming down the steps, and the other is a little bit further into the room. Hopefully Alan can avoid him. All right, so that's all of our actions. We went ahead and checked kill zones. No one else moved. That walker in the stairwell was far enough back not to come in contact with Alan. So we're gonna go into our 2nd event card, and it says won't stay down. And we are at 3 on the threat tracker, so we are still in all quiet. And it says for each prone walker, roll the black die, and when the badge the walker gets up, there are no prone walkers, add 1 to the threat level. All right, so we saw that run prone walker from the first turn. I know that said on a badge it gets up. I like playing that badges are good, so we're gonna say on a blank it gets up, badge is gonna stay down. All right, so after the event card, we're going to go into our melee phase. So threat goes up by 1 to 4. And we're going to start out with Rick against a single walker here. All right, so Rick has removed that walker, and now we will go with Tyrese against 1 walker. All right, so Tyrese just pummels that walker. And these guys are looking good to go into that tower and hopefully get inside the prison. All right, so now come here to Alan against this walker in the stairwell, and we can only hope that Alan does as well as Rick and Tyrese did on the outside of the prison. All right, so Alan in combat has a white as his base, a red because of his baseball bat, which is re-rollable, and we'll be rolling that against 1 purple for the walker's defense. Good thing this is re-rollable. All right, so Alan is just barely able to tie combat, which is going to move that walker back an inch, And that is going to be the end of the melee phase. All right, so at the end of turn 2, we have Rick and Tyrese who are ready to enter into the watchtower to hopefully go inside of the prison. We have Alan who is trapped inside of this hallway with 2 walkers, and that hallway is what's going to connect the prisoners over to the survivors. So someone's got to clear those walkers out of there, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to them. So we're going to get ready to up the threat by 1 to 5 and go into turn 3. All right, we're going to be on the start of turn 3, and the threat is going to be up to 5. We're going to start out with the prisoners this turn, and the first thing we're going to do is take Axel, and Axel is going to move to the end of this hallway here. And remember, there's going to be a door that goes from this room over into the room where Alan is. So Axel will be able to fight against the walker in that room there. So we'll get Axel to move to there, and then he's going to make noise to draw that walker into him. And now we're going to move over to Dexter. Dexter is going to move into the room with Thomas and Andrew and search that 3rd supply token inside of that room. So remember, inside of the armory, we're going to pull out equipment cards. So Dexter finds a riot baton. So we're going to equip this. And now for the rest of the prisoners, we're just going to work on getting them out of that room. So we'll start with Andrew and have him make his way out through that door. So we have Andrew make a 4-inch move out of the door, and that will be all of his actions. And then Thomas also comes out of there, and that is going to be all of our prisoner actions for this turn. We'll move outside of the prison and come around to Rick and Tyrese. And we're going to get Tyrese to make his way up here to the guard tower for his first action. And now because we're entering the tower for the first time, we have to spawn any walkers. So we'll roll a red die for that. All right, so it's just mega blocks. We can take the roof off of there for effect. And we're going to spawn 1 walker inside of there, and there is still a supply token inside of there as well. So that is Tyrese's actions. For Rick, we're going to get Rick again to try and lower the threat. So let's go ahead and do that with him. All right, so Rick is doing a great job mitigating the threat. So that goes from 5 back down to 3. And his second action, he's just going to move up there right next to Tyrese. All right, so now we're going to come down here to Alan, and Alan's going to move over to this supply counter and search that. And he is going to come up with some bandages. All right, so we still got Lori down here. We put the bandages inside of Alan's pack, and we are now going to take Lori and move her up through the doorway here to go help out with Alan, because she's carrying around that tire iron, and we've got to get to those prisoners to take them out. So let's start making our way over there to them. So Lori moves in there to the room with Alan. That was actually a little bit more than 4 inches, so the noise from the technically run is going to draw in that walker to her anyway. All right, now that's going to be all of the actions for our survivors that round. So kill zones, the walker that was inside of the guard tower is going to move into Tyrese. Everyone else is going to be outside kill zones, so we'll go ahead and move that walker. And now we'll go into our next event card, which is surrounded. So +1 to the threat. We're back up to 4 and low threat. And the player with initiative must choose 1 standing survivor, friend or foe. Place the kill zone over that model. Blue walkers enter play, but instead are placed at the edge. So we're going to say that the prisoners have initiative because they went first. So let's pick a model and roll a blue die. All right, so person with the lowest amount of wounds, Lori. Let's pick on her. So we're going to put the kill zone over top of Lori. So we're going to roll a blue die, and then we're going to put that many walkers anywhere outside of that kill zone. All right, so here's what we did. We rolled a 2, and we've taken 2 walkers and put them on either side of the kill zone. And what we're going to try to do is box in Lori and Alan, have the walkers take them out, and then we can just have the prisoners rush Rick and Tyrese as they try to come into the prison. All Alright, so while the camera's over here, we're going to start the melee phase, up the threat by 1 to 5. And we're going to start with Lori against a single walker. Now Alan is just outside of that walker's base, so we're not going to include him. I don't want to cheat my way through this. So Lori has a tire iron, which is a white melee die, and her base is a red. So we're going to roll a red and white against a single purple for the walker. Alright, so Lori is able to take out that walker in that round of combat, which is awesome. So now we're going to swing the board around and we'll come over here to Axel against this walker. Alright, so Axel is unarmed. He is going to be just rolling his base melee, which is a white, against the single purple for the one walker. Alright, so the walkers in this game aren't really putting up much of a fight for anybody. So Axel's able to remove that guy. And now we have Tyrese against the one walker here going into the prison. Alright, and another walker down. So that is all of the combat for this phase. And the walkers all disappeared. So next turn we should get some survivor on survivor action, which is going to pick up the pace some. Let's go ahead and end this turn and come back with turn 4. All right, we're going to be starting turn 4, and the threat has moved up to 6. We're going to start out with Tyrese. Tyrese is going to search the supply token that is at the guard shack, and he is going to come up with a shiv. All right, so we go ahead and give that to Tyrese. Tyrese can now see straight through that watchtower into the hallway, and he's going to make an 8-inch run action all the way through there. And we can see that on the opposite side of that tower is Axel. So Tyrese plows through the tower into Axel. That's going to create noise and draw in the other walker that is in the stairwell. So that is getting all kinds of cluttered up back there now. All right, so now we're going to come over to Alan, and Alan is going to run up along this hallway right here to, remember, there's that door right there to go into that hallway. So Alan's going to go up and get up to join in this combat with this walker and Tyrese and Axel. And then Lori is back here as well. Before Lori follows Alan up there, she is going to try and lower the threat. So over here, badge will lower, blank will keep it the same. And I apologize for the glare. That is a badge. All right, so the threat goes down 1, back down to 5, and Lori is just going to go up there behind Alan. All right, so over with the prisoners. We're actually going to, can't jam anyone else in that small hallway to get in base contact with Tyrese. So Thomas is going to try and rush Rick through the tower. So Thomas, like the madman that he is, rushes all the way through the tower to get out here to Rick, and makes an 8-inch move, which is going to draw in a walker from the yard. Alright, there's really not a whole lot for Andrew down here to do, so he's just going to make a slight move up here into the hallway in case something comes out. Alan, Lori, whoever decides to come through, he's there waiting for him. And then we're going to have Dexter, who has just picked up a ride baton. He's going to make his way out of the room and be ready for some combat as well. And there, Dexter's going to move more than 4 inches, but again, there are no walkers inside the building now that are going to be attracted by any noise, so he can just do that. Alright, so kill zones. Everyone is outside of them, so let's go into the next event card, which is The Walking Dead. So +2 to the threat, 6, 7. We are still in low threat. White walkers enter play, and the same walkers are then moved towards the nearest survivor. So let's roll for that. Okay, so we roll a 3, and we're going to bring on this walker over here in the gray suit, and she has moved towards Rick. And then on this side, we have the walker with the mohawk and the Shane walker that we've just brought back on the board after recently being knocked off. And they also are headed towards the middle of the board, towards Rick. Okay, so we'll go into the melee phase. Up the threat by 1 to 8, and we are going to start with Rick and Thomas and the Walker because that's the easiest one on the outside of the prison over here. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. Rick has his double white for his attack. The Walker has 1 purple, so we're going to roll that first, and then we'll roll Thomas. So Rick and the Walker roll a combined 3. And Thomas in return is going to roll a single white. Alright, so Thomas is going to lose by 2. Brings him down to 2 health points left, and he has been moved back an inch. Alright, and then in here with this combat, we have Tyrese against Axel, and there is also a Walker that is in contact with Alan, who is on the other side of that wall, which is also serving as a door. So we're going to split this as Alan against the Walker, and then Tyrese against Axel. And we're going to start with Alan against this single Walker. Alan is the bruiser with the baseball bat, so he's going to re-roll that blank red to see if we can get a critical here. Alright, so Alan has cleared out that hallway, and now we will move around to Tyrese against Axel. Alright, so again, Tyrese is rolling his double white, and we're also going to use his shiv this go round, so we're going to add in an extra red to this melee attack. Alright, Tyrese only rolls a 3. Axel's melee is only a white, and he is unarmed, so we're going to try to roll his defense, which is red and white, and see if we can match this 3. Alright, so Axel loses combat by 1 and is moved down to 5 wounds. He's pushed back an inch, and that is all of the combat for this round. There are no bites, there are no prone walkers. We're going to up the threat by 1 up to 9, so we are at the top of medium threat. We are going to go on to turn 5.